Good morning everybody, welcome to Stockradar, Stocks on the Move for another week. Today's date is the 20th of October 2022. I'm pretty excited, the market's been up and down but we're doing okay. We've caught in some good stocks so we're doing okay at the moment. Just to remind you, I provide entries, exits, stops and alerts on over 160 ASX stocks. We run high conviction portfolios based on those stock picks and the results of those are all on our homepage. We'll have a look. Our high conviction portfolios, the 5 stock portfolios are the ones that do best of all. Okay, here's our little homepage today, our little startup page. So are the banks a buy? There's been a bit of upside action worth reviewing at the moment, so I thought we'd have a look at it. But remember, I only report the facts, so what are they? And we'll have a look at that. Okay, so the format for today, as usual, we get a bit of background from the overseas markets, go to the Stockradar, into ASX 200, the Stockradar portfolio, and then we look at a few stocks. And trading tactics, I want to talk about a positive mindset today. You know, I've been concentrating on trying to keep you motivated and alive and positive throughout these difficult times because it is important, because there will be an excitement factor that will happen sometime soon and the market will jump up higher. You know, and we're looking at really specific stocks is really what we're interested in rather than the general market. So we're able to make a bit of money at the moment despite the market going down as it is. Okay, so let's go straight to the overseas markets and have a quick look at those. Okay, our Dow Jones industrial average is, well, we had a little failure here a couple of weeks ago. We're having a sort of a mildish sort of rally. There's been a bit of volume here, but if we just put this up a little bit, you can see there's some fairly heavy selling on this downward move here. So we really are still in a downward phase. We can grab onto things if we want to, but we need to get the big picture. The big picture is the trend is down, volume is heavy, momentum is weak, it's below the average. We've had a little bit of a price rally, but that is probably just a rally in a downtrend at the moment. So that's where the Dow Jones sits at the moment, and the Nasdaq is no better at all. I seem to be repeating myself week after week, and I have been since sort of last August, I think, but we've had another little failure here, some heavy volume, the momentum is weak, so we can't really look for much at the moment on the Nasdaq at this stage. Commodities, copper, it's holding in that range, R1, S1. The trend is still down overall. There's some highish activity, but momentum is still pretty weak. So we're still below the average and the downtrend line here at the moment. So we're still in downtrend territory looking for lower prices for copper. Gold, another failure below that, so it's a big support area there. It tried on a little rally, but it's dipping down again. US dollar strong. It's going nowhere at the moment. So just leave those gold stocks alone for the moment. And Brent crude is probably the one with a bit of support, better than the other commodities because of what's happening in the world and the winter time up north. So, you know, we've had a bit of a rally a couple of weeks ago. It's come back a bit last week. We're sort of seeing it steady off this week, but we're seeing a bit of a rotation between R1 and S1 at the moment. There's some interesting activity. We had some fairly heavy selling here, you can see down here, which pushed the momentum index below there. So really we are in stand back neutral stage on the crude price. Now we have a look at some energy stocks. I know Woodside's doing very well today and Santos, they're producing great results, which is good, but our coal stocks have really been the ones that have been a big surprise of late. So that's where crude sits at the moment. The price is still pretty good and our stocks are doing quite well. Okay, so I was just going to mention to you briefly here the A dollar. If we have a quick look at the A dollar, I don't know if anyone's looked at it recently, you probably have, but it's been on a big slide for quite a while now. You know, if that 80 cent level really is the top of the range here, it's back down towards 62. They tell me the collapsing A dollar should be boosting some stocks, but I don't see much of anything just yet. Maybe worth watching though is CSL, Computershare, James Hardie, Aristocrat, Cochlear, Block, ResMed, Amcor, BHP, South32, Woodside and IPL. Now some of those I have in my picks, but there's no general pickup in many of those stocks yet, especially in those CSL, Cochlear stocks. Aristocrat, they're trying to bottom out, but there's nothing fantastic. So no real benefit seems to be for those prices at the moment. They should be. So I guess that really says that we're sort of, you know, the market's pretty confused at the moment. So I don't really blame people not for going headlong into buying these stocks at the moment. There's some weird things happening out there. So the stock price trends are your friend, and that's where you want to lie, and that's where we are at the moment, following our trends higher. Okay, so that's the overseas markets. Let's get into the ASX 200. It's probably looking better than the overseas markets. You know, it's come off that high at 76.30. We've come down here. We've bottomed twice here at S1. We've rallied off a bit. I know we're off a bit today. This is still weak. We're certainly still in a downtrend for sure. But we didn't go quite up as far. Maybe we're not going to go down as far. But at the moment, S1 6474 is the low point on that for the moment. And if we just go to our little portfolio and have a look at that. Okay, Stockradar portfolio is flat at 21, 20 stocks and 1 ETF. Okay, so no change there. The conservative portfolio is flat. It's got 2 stocks, only 2 stocks of 20, and that's not very good for that across the board cross section of stocks that are mostly top stocks. The Energizer 5 is full because there are some trends out there, and there's some good trends out there we're riding at the moment. The Energizer 10 is up 128, so it's not full. It's 80% equities, 20% cash. So that sort of tells you a little bit about, you know, there's the highly leveraged one, the 5 stock is full, the 10 stock is not quite full, the Stockradar stock per count is very bad at 14% equity. So really it's just a matter of talking about focusing on those stocks that do have trends, and that's where we're making our money at the moment. Okay, so that's really most of the stock picks I want to go through. That's all that. There's no sectors in the uptrends at the moment. We looked at those coal stocks last week. This week, I really want to have a look at the banks, only because you know they haven't been doing anything for quite some time. We're sort of looking at some support recently for the banks. I mean, interest rates increasing is always a good thing for the banks, no matter what anyone says. So I just want to look at these banks for you. Now, I haven't really annotated too much here because I don't really want to put my bias too much on there. You can go to Stockradar if you actually want to have a look at what the ratings are and things like that. But for ANZ, I just want to talk about a little bit what's been happening recently. And if we look at this pattern here, we've got a big sell-off here, and you find most stocks, the banks had some fairly high volume here. ANZ's not typical, some of the other ones are a bit higher. But since then, we've seen some green bars here. If I just push this up a little bit more so we can have a good look at this. What have I done? Sorry about that. We've lost all our volume, which is bad. Okay. Gosh, bear with me here for a second. Push all this up again. Wow. Okay, so you're having a look at the chart while I'm doing this. Okay, so now we have our volume. Okay, so you can see here's some green bars coming through here, and they coincide with the upside moves, okay? There's been a bit of selling on the downside, but not a lot. This is now starting to draw back to zero, which is a good sign, and we've now seen a bit of a break above the average. So the wheels are turning a little bit here, and they look quite good. So you can run your own trend intensity rating if you'd like on this, see what you think, whether this is a buy or not, but it certainly is an improving picture, which we haven't seen for a while on the banks, because they were since pretty well March last year, that was the high we saw at ANZ. It's been down, down, down. Now we're seeing some good support. There's some changing things happening with the interest rates environment, and that's what we're seeing here. So if we also go to the next one, it's just Westpac. Long been the nasty one of this sector. We're starting to see the similar sort of picture. Now, we've got the big volume on the downside here. We've got a few green bars here, and just recently even better green bars, and we've seen some good price gains here. It's above the average. The momentum is nearly back to zero, so it's looking reasonably positive once again. We just need to be a bit careful of what we've got up here, but it's an interesting picture we're seeing from Westpac, and the same from ANZ. And if we go to National Bank, it's been one of the better performers, so it's up near its highs. And again, we're seeing this. We saw the downward page, we saw the volume, we're now seeing a rally on some good steady volume, another rally on some good volume. There's been a bit of selling action here, fine. When you have these bottom phases, this will always happen, there's a disagreement, and people will be selling and buying and trying to juggle around to see what's happening. But at the moment, the price now, since June, has gone up from 25 to nearly 32, so that's quite significant, and we've got some fairly encouraging signs down here with volume, and this is now just ticking above zero for NAB, and we've now got it above the average, so looking very, very interesting, I think, at the moment. The only other one is CBA, and it's probably looking the worst of the lot, strange as it may seem. People maybe have had enough of this one, I don't know. But if we look at this one here, we've got the top up here at $110, we've got a support down here around 88. Okay, now this rally here attracted some very, very good volume, That's a very positive. This downward move here, back almost to the lows, was also quite heavy volume, which we didn't see in the other banks. And we're seeing some good volume here on the upside, and again, not quite as good as the other banks. So they're probably a little bit of a favouritism going towards ANZ NAB at the moment. With Commonwealth, it's probably still going to follow, but we'll just have to see. It may be the laggard rather than the leader for a while. But $110 is a fairly significant area for Commonwealth Bank. So there's the banks for you. I just thought we'd have a little bit of a chat about them, have a little bit of look at them. We had a good rally a year or so ago. They've really been very tardy the last 18 months. But now we're starting to see a little bit of interest here on these banks. Okay, so that's really just what I wanted to show you today. There's plenty of other stocks I want to talk about, but the other one, which was a little tip that we gave a little while ago, which, there's not many of these stocks going up, so I'm just showing it to you again. ICT is up 24% from the entry there. It's off a little bit this week. I'm not sure what it's doing today, but it is looking pretty good. This is actually the first possible red bar we've seen. It may finish up, I don't know, this week, but it's certainly good. You just lift your stop here and lock in that profit, whatever it might be. 20% in a few weeks is pretty good. So that's just a little stock I'd show you. Because it's been quite good. Now, member tips, I've got one good new one which is rallying quite well at the moment, which we've just entered. I run a 16-week scan, which gives me an idea of stocks making new highs. It's revealed a few new prospects. The banks are interesting, and then we've discussed the three newbies there, which is a transport stock, a diversified financial stock, and also another education stock, which are also looking pretty interesting at the moment. Still running, of course, are our coal stocks and the other 18 stock picks, which are also still there. So there's much more on Stockradar. What will be the next big thing? Well, we're always on the hunt for it, and at the moment, a little bit of look at the banks. So that's an interesting situation for that. So that's the stocks I want to show you today. Keeping a lot of my things close to my chest at the moment, just being fairly wary and fairly careful, fairly conservative. Okay, so let's now go to trading tactics. Positive mindset is really what I wanted to talk about this week because, as I said before, it's been difficult times and it's been hard, it's been a grind, but we need to make sure, because these events happen all the time, and we need to make sure that we're confident, we're poised, and we know what we're doing to do these things rather than getting despondent, fearful and withdrawing. So, turn your fortunes around. Keep positive. The comfort of being in control and knowing you will be all right. Now, that is done by following a controlled and systematic trade plan and portfolio approach. So even now, we've got a few stock picks in there making some money. Not a lot, but we're always watching some because there may be a lot going to come in soon. Who knows? But just, you just got to follow that trade plan. It will tell you what to do. There are good times and bad times, and that's just how the stock market works. So a trade plan and a good portfolio approach will hold your hand through the tough times and tell you what to do and guide you. Okay, don't let your mind guide you, let your trade plan guide you. It keeps you on balance. It keeps you poised and on balance, which is important, not rocking the boat too much. Okay, so where your small losses, remember we'll keep the small losses. That's the choice we make to keep our losses small whenever time we take them. When they get to a certain level, we just take them. Okay, so if we keep those small in times like this, and I'm going to show you the portfolio at the moment, it is very, very important that we do that because we will take a lot of losses at the moment, but there are also some good profits there. So we do that, we wear our small losses and then we wait for the big strike which will occur. Okay, so even now with a few stock picks, there are some big kickers in our portfolio. Have faith and keep your mindset positive. It doesn't pay to worry. And I've sort of learnt that over the years. Worrying doesn't do you any good. It just gives you stress and gives you lines on your face. Notice how clear my face is. Okay, remember, 80% of your profits will come from 20% of your trade. So I'll take lots of losses, but I don't care. As long as I keep them small, when I get those big wins, I will kick on. So the message is stay positive and run your profits. Don't focus on the press. It'll drive you mad. Those stories are just there to make you stand up and think and whatever, but they lead you astray most of the time. Okay, so Stockradar's current profile. This is just my 20 stock picks that I have at the moment, just so you can have a little look on a histogram basis, which it gives you an idea of how it performs. So 85% of my profits are coming from 15% of my stock picks at the moment. Okay. Those stocks are, as you can see there from the histogram, I've just outlined the main ones there. You can see CPU up here, New Hope, Whitehaven. They're the three big winners. That's what I'm doing. So they're the 15% of stocks that are making the money for me. There's some other stocks in here which are not big deals. Medibank Private, Treasury Wine Estates, IGO, they're all starting to generate a bit. A2M's not doing too badly, but you can see all the other ones here, few wins, few losses, they will pretty well cancel themselves out. So really what I'm left with is these big winners here, and that's where we make the money. Okay, so that's really the story I've got for you today. I'm going to probably talk to you a little bit more about my win-loss ratio next week, just so as you understand that you will take losses and how they work. So I might have a look at that for you next week. Okay, so that's about all I've got for you today. Hands behind your back and off the trigger, but we're keeping an eye on the banks and a couple of other stocks, and Stockradar members will always be the first to find out what's moving. So stay positive, it's important, and we'll keep you on the alert and ready. There are a couple of fresh new stocks emerging, so go to Stockradar to check what's hitting the alerts button. Yes, we provide alerts every day there for you to have a look at on Stockradar. So despite the weak performance, the 5 stock portfolios are moving sharply higher again, and with our focus on trends and money management, even our 20 stock profile on Stockradar has an annualised 47% return rate today. Okay, keep your positive mindset always. Okay, because it's all there. So stay safe, watch your trends, heed your stops, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks very much.